accountability because I was begging and I was doing like all the nice things I said to do, right? Say thank you.
Yeah.
Tell them that you want to work with them. I did all of that and no one was hearing me. No one was showing up for me. And
Mm,
so I said, okay, well, I'm going to publicly embarrass you then, right? But
mm,
even that wasn't working. So I just started filing state complaints and I'm just like, I
yep.
know this is wrong. And because I know this is wrong, I want accountability and not just for my son, but for
Yeah.
other children.
What's up, podcast fam? Welcome back, or welcome if you are a new listener to the Uniquely Wired podcast. I'm your host, Nani. And on this episode, we have a special guest. And we are going to be talking about, strategies for families like ours, navigating IEPs. I know it's still the beginning of the school year, and a lot of us are getting ready for those IEP meetings. Maybe you already had those IEP meetings, but still, it doesn't hurt to, educate ourselves and learn more strategies. Um, I think education is key and knowledge is power. So, this is very important for us to prepare ourselves. I know my daughter's IEP is coming up, and then it'll be my son's IEP. So, too many IEPs. Too many things. So Alicia, she is our guest. Am I saying your name right? Is
Yes,
that good?
Alicia's fine.
Okay.
Yes.
Alicia is our guest today. I'm gonna let her introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alicia Renee. I am the founder of the IEP Files and the IEP Files Academy. I am a mom. I'm a proud autism mom or mom of a child with autism, whatever floats your boat, right? I say autism mom. I know some people have feelings about that. So I am a part of the community. Thank you for having me. I am an advocate as well, a non-attorney special education advocate, and I'm someone who has seen both sides of the table. I sit on both sides of the table. I work with families every single day to make sure that their children's rights are protected and that parents feel empowered and that they're not reminding them that they're not powerless in this process, that they do always have options, understanding procedural safeguards. Because I know firsthand how overwhelming the system can feel. And I'm here to share real strategies that help families walk into these meetings prepared and walk out with real results.
Oh my gosh. I just love it, and I love your confidence with that. It's crazy. I just uploaded a new episode where I talk about the emotional load of advocacy. Like, it's so much, and you get it not just so much from the professional side, but also from the mom side,
Yes.
walking the journey as well.
Yes.
And it's so much that we have to deal with. I had someone comment on my reel, you know, you're not just advocating with insurance, doctors, IEP meetings, like you're doing it with family and friends,
Every
which is
day.
crazy. So like it's just nonstop. So I'm definitely very excited to ask the questions that I have for you. And if there's anything else that you feel that you want to add, of course you can feel free to do so. But first, I want to start with an icebreaker. And that is, what's one hidden talent you have that most people don't know about?
Oh, wow. A hidden talent. A hidden talent. Um, I think a hidden talent that I have that most people don't know about is that I can actually do hair. Like I can cornrow, I can do
Oh,
individual hair.
nice.
Yes, I can do the whole I can do some hair. Um
Nice.
yes.
I love that. I love that so much, girl, because for the life of me, I cannot do braids. I can't do braids. I tried on my daughter and I was like, yeah, we're just gonna stick with the basic, little braids, girl, because we ain't doing it.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, my best friend, I had to have her like do my two French braids. I said, you know what? I wish I could learn how to do that because it's such
Mhm.
a good talent to have. It's something good
Yes.
I feel that you can have, especially when you have hair like mine, girl. I'm like, it's just basic, it's straight. If it's not, I have little curls. But I'm like, sometimes I want to do like two
Yes.
little braids, make it
Yes.
cute, make it fun.
Yes. Yes.
But I can't. So
Exactly.
that's definitely A hidden talent. So now everybody's gonna know.
I know, right?
It might be knocking at your door. But wow, that's awesome. So,
That's so
okay,
funny.
let's get right into this.
Okay.
So, for families who are new to the IEP process, what are some of the most important things they should know before going into their very first meeting?
Oh, wow. Before walking into their very first IEP meeting, the first thing that I tell all parents, I think, right, if it's the first thing once you are aware of your child's disability, right, the school process, you have the IEP, right, you're going to this meeting is to know your rights, right? And also you are the expert on your child, right? You are the expert. You have the PhD in your child. You carried that child. You raised that child. You're with that child every day, right? You know your child. And so I say that. And then also don't let degrees or the titles of those people, the staff, right, that's sitting at the table make you feel smaller in the room. I want families to walk into the rooms, into the meetings, knowing IDEA and knowing your state law. Um, and IDEA and your state law gives you a seat at the table. The IDEA says that you are a equal member of the IEP team. So go in there knowing I am a member of this team. I'm not just a parent, I am a member of this team. And another thing I will say is before the meeting, it's very important for parents to read the draft IEP because you want to make sure that you're highlighting or at least flagging. You know, if you don't have a highlighter, use a pencil, a pen, I don't care, just whatever it does to flag it to say, hey, wait, this is incorrect. Um, this doesn't make sense to me, or I don't understand. I need you to explain this to me. I want to understand why you're adding or why you're taking away. Um, and also write down your questions. If the school didn't provide you with any of the documents that they are going to present or discuss during that IP meeting, that's a red flag and a potential violation, meaning they have potentially denied your ability to meaningfully participate at the IP meeting because they're giving you documents and expecting a decision to be made, right, you know, during that meeting, and you did not have the time to review. And in most states, there's a requirement of 5, 7 days before the IP meeting. So those are just things that are very important for families to know walk before they even walk into the IP meeting, is that you have rights. These are the things that you need to know, and what questions you have to ask to the people that will be making decisions about your child's academics.
Exactly. And that's so good. That is so good. It is so important because I know, and you know, I still remember when I had to walk into that first IEP meeting for my daughter. Um, and it was so intimidating. Because first of all, you're new to it, and that's why I wanted to direct to the new parents that are
Yes.
just starting this journey, that are just starting this process. They're maybe getting ready to go into their first IEP meeting, or maybe they just had their first IEP meeting and they felt defeated walking out of that meeting.
Yes.
I don't
Yes.
think you should feel that way walking out of a meeting, but reality is that 9 times out of 10, you do feel that way because you feel like either, did I do enough? Did I not do enough? Did I say enough? Did I ask the right questions? Right. And I think I just want the listeners to know, especially those of you that are new to this journey, you're not alone in those feelings. I think even till this day, I feel like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's normal. It's normal because I think the older our kids get, and how old is your child, Alicia?
I have two. My oldest is 20. My youngest is 13. My yeah, I know, right? my
What?
yes, my 13-year-old is my youngest, right? And he has the autism diagnosis.
Okay.
And so I will say this for especially for the new moms who may have just received the diagnosis, or are like, what is an IEP, what does this mean, because there is a lot of, I think, misunderstanding or misinformation about IEPs.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hope for a parent that's listening to this, that is new to this process, that their takeaway is that if you do not blame yourself for what you don't know. There is still you can't we're they're still trying to determine the cause of autism, right? So you can't, and I want to be careful with my words, because how you feel is how you feel, right? But I want listeners listening to this to know that do not blame yourself for not knowing and not knowing what questions to ask. Listening to hopefully by the end of this podcast, right, you'll have a lot of tools and new resources that if you are a new parent, or if you are a parent that's been going through the mud and fighting for services, that you still walk away with something that you didn't know previously, and now you have new tools and new questions that you can ask starting tomorrow when you hear this. You know what I mean? So um I want to say that. And I just, again, I remember and I remember blaming myself in the beginning, because again, I have an older son. They're 7 years apart, so I was clear about milestones and how things should happen. I was in high school. I worked in child development, so I was very clear and very aware about the milestones, right?
Right.
And so when I started to notice things with my son, like he was lining toys up, he would stare at lights, he just had very structured things that
Yeah.
in his day that he had to do. And so it was trying to understand trying to get a diagnosis was the hardest part of that journey. Is like, oh my
Mhm.
god, what is this? I don't know what to do. It was challenging trying to communicate with him. So I share all this because I understand that you're dealing with that, and now then you enter into this world. Like, I got through this part of it, and now I have to enter into this new world of
Right.
more unfamiliarity,
Yep.
unknown. And then somehow, because I don't know or I didn't ask the right questions, it somehow is my fault, right? So I want to try to help remove some of that and demystify some of that shame and some of those thoughts that we have. Like, we're human, we may have those thoughts. So
Yes,
I'm sorry, I'm
absolutely.
rambling.
No, 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 you're fine. And the thing is not, I like that you touch on the whole shame and guilt, because a lot of the times it's not even just so much the government putting that shame and guilt, it's also even within the same autism community and
Yes.
friends and family, because now we're taken aside and we're like, well, you know, we need to make sure that this goes away. We need to make sure that we find a cure. And like, not to dismiss whoever wants to find a cure, right? Because I'm very
Hmm.
like, listen, whatever you want for your family, it's whatever's best for you, right? But it's like, man, at the end of the day, can we just come together and realize that we're in the same journey? It might look different. It might look different, but we're still having to do the same thing. We're still having to advocate. We're still trying to get our kids the help that they need. You know, whether it's medical, whether it's their gut, their brain, I don't care what it is. At the end of the
Yes.
day, you are trying enough. You are doing enough. You are doing the best that you can. And so it bothers me so much. I was just talking to someone about this, that just the division between both. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's heartbreaking, because I'm the one
Yes.
that I'm always trying to bring everybody together. I don't care where you're at,
Yes.
on what side of the spectrum. But at the end of the day, I think it's fair to say that we all carried a load of advocacy. We all carried a weight that we carried the weight of uncertainty. We don't
Hmm.
know what's going to happen tomorrow to our kids. We don't know what's going to happen with our medical assistants. We don't know what's going to happen with doctors. We don't know. And so if you sit there and you try to make assumptions of what you
Hmm.
think it's going to happen, you're just going to drown. You're going
Yes.
to drown. You're not going to live happy. You're going to see your child as an issue. You're going to see your girl. I'm telling you,
Yes.
it's going to be a cycle that's never going to end, which is
Yes.
why I choose joy. I'm like, you know what?
Yes.
I'm looking at my kids. Like, let me tell you, this is a win that just happened literally yesterday, right before we started recording this. I kid you not. I'm getting ready to share it on my Instagram. But my son literally just slept for the first time all night on his bed.
Oh,
That,
congratulations.
yeah, thank you so much. That's a win. You know why?
It
Because
is.
my son struggles with a lot of movement. So my son, his sensory, he needs that input every time. So he falls asleep on a rocking chair. In the middle of the night, I have to transition him to the
Mm-hmm.
bed.
Mm-hmm.
Girl, next thing you
Mm-hmm.
know, 3 in the morning, he's like back on the beanbag,
Yep.
rocking himself. So last night, I mean, he fell asleep on the bed. I was shocked. I didn't even have to move him from the rocking chair. And I was like, what? Like, we woke up this morning, my husband and I, we were so hyped because I'm like, is this for real? And I just thank God because it's really been a prayer that I'm like, I just want him to be able to sleep through the night and just stayed on his bed, you know?
I
And it's the
do.
simplest of things that you already know that just like, I
Yes.
mean, he's 6, but I'm like, man, it took this long for him to stay in bed all night. So, anyways, it's just
Oh,
all
you're
that
bringing
to
tears to my
say.
eyes because I'm sorry. Go ahead, finish your thought. I'm
No,
so
it's
sorry.
okay. I'm just saying, like, I want families to know, and I preach about this all the time. Focus on the now.
Yeah.
You know, what your child has accomplished. Look back and see, man, my daughter was not able to eat many things that she's eating now. She was stuck with
Mm-hmm.
one item. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's victory to us. That's a miracle
Mm-hmm.
right in front of
Yes.
us, right?
Yes.
My
Yes.
son, same thing. I'm still praying for him to be able to eat more, for his palate to expand,
Mm-hmm.
his speech. But I'm not here like, oh my gosh, I need to do this. And I'm drowning myself in this little bubble. Like, and
Mm-hmm.
that's not to dismiss parents that are going through things more than just autism, because we know that diagnosis for a lot of kids can
Yes.
come with a lot of more
Yes.
things, right? There
Yes.
are kids that
Yes.
have CP. I mean, just so many other medical
Mm-hmm.
things that it's frustrating. It's a lot. But I
Yes.
think our encouragement, right? And Alicia could agree, is that take it one day at a time.
Agreed.
You guys know I say this
Yes.
all the time on the podcast. Take it one day at a time. I'm not trying to be this super positive person, but you know what? That's what helps me.
Yeah. And I said this to a mom the other day, right? Because I have a lot of friends right now with children on the spectrum, right? Because you kind of find your tribe.
Yep.
You as a mom of a child raising a child with autism, it is very isolating at times because you especially for me, I want to speak from my experience, is
Sure.
that when he was younger, in his taller years, I was so exhausted of explaining him to people that we just stayed by ourselves. We did things by ourselves, right? Because I could not keep explaining why my child was doing things and telling people, hearing people tell me how I should discipline him, and it's just like you don't understand. And so it becomes very isolating. And so as we got older, as he's gotten older, I've made more friends and doing my advocacy work, made more
Yeah.
friends doing this work. um and so it just is very isolating at
Yeah.
times, and you do have to find your tribe. And what I am recalling about your story about your son spending, sleeping the entire night in the bed, it really, and I was tearing up because again, my son is now 13, so it makes me, it's hard for me to not reflect because I know what it was when he was 1, what he was 2, when he 5, 8, right? And so my son wasn't speaking. We were teaching my son sign language. And I
Wow.
remember praying for my son to just say mom, right? And when
Mm.
he said mom, and now he's talking, right? And he
Yes.
won't shut up. And
Yes.
so, and I'm so grateful. So when I hear other
Yes.
moms like saying the same prayer, I want my son to talk. I want my son, like I said that prayer. So I feel it.
Yes.
And
Yes. Absolutely.
and same thing you're saying about the meals, right? My son right now, 13 years old, he only eats Chipotle, all right?
Mm.
Chipotle and tacos. So I am
He
spending
loves the
yeah, so
I'm not even mad at him though, because I'm like,
ugh.
yes, I can go to Chipotle all the time.
It was Chick-fil-A. He was so fixated on Chick-fil-A. And then
Okay.
so but we started getting really concerned because
Yeah.
of his health, right?
Yep.
Diabetes, right? And his sugar was getting high because of, and he would only eat rice. So it's literally, and I get tired of explaining that to people about his palate and what
Yeah.
he will and what he won't eat. There is no such thing as forcing my child to eat a specific food because he will not eat. He will literally not eat.
Yep.
Um,
Same.
and so
Mhm.
it's all of those things, and just looking back and knowing that there is no map, there is no guide to
No.
tell me each year what I'm supposed to do, how when we're supposed to do new evaluations for our medical speech to see if he needs outside speech,
Yep.
private, right, OT. We were doing ABA. It's all of the things and just
Yeah.
continuing. And there's no roadmap. There's no one saying, hey, I think you should probably have your child. We should probably reassess him again this year, right? Because then they're deferring on the school, but then you have the school that is
Yeah.
fighting you on the services. So there's so much that
Yeah.
is in this bubble, right? But you have to unpack it, and so it's part of that stress and the burden that people don't see. That when you were just sharing your story, it just made me just think about all of that, right?
Yes, yes. And I love having people like you that have been on this walk a couple years ahead of me, because it just gives me hope that yes, there is still hope ahead. No
Mm-hmm.
matter the lies that we hear, no matter the noise that we hear around us, at the end of the day, your journey is unique. And that's for every family listening. Your journey is unique. And we share all this to say that listen, maybe you're on the other side listening, like, oh my god, my son too, oh my god, my daughter too, like, this is it, this is what
Mm-hmm.
community is about, right? For
Yes.
you to not feel alone. But my next question is, like, as I have mentioned, many parents often feel intimidated or unheard in IEP meetings.
Oh
And
yes.
I'm sure you have stories, I have my stories that I've shared before. But what strategies, right, can families use to advocate effectively for their child while maintaining a collaborative relationship with the school?
I'm laughing because I'm going to tell you, listeners, right? I'm going to tell you all the politically correct answer, but also then I'm going to tell you what I tell my clients, right?
Yeah.
So the correct way is that always, if it's not written, it didn't happen. You need a paper trail. You need evidence because in many states the burden of proof is on parents. So you can say all day long that these things happen, but if you can't prove that these things happen, they did not happen, and they will side with the school district, right? Remember, school district is the one that is providing the services, writing the IEP, writing the PWN, all of the things that have to do with this process, right? So you just need to make sure you are protecting yourself. And then most importantly, emotions. Your emotions have to be in check. You cannot allow them to piss you off in the meeting, if you will. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, you can't allow that to your emotions to get in the way. And so when I say that, I'm talking about your emails, right? You need to be very careful. And I also have, if you haven't heard of Wright's Law, Peter Wright, he won a Supreme Court case in like '93, and
Mhm.
he has this website called Wright's Law, and that's where a lot of families go to get some resources. And so
Oh.
he has this book called Emotions to Advocacy, and let me tell you,
Ooh.
I
That
read it.
sounds good.
It is so good. It is so good.
Hmm.
What my biggest when I first read that book, the first page, it was saying like, don't do these things, right? Don't make demands. And I immediately closed the book because I'm like, what are you talking about? Right? So I closed. So, but and I worked through that, guys, right? So this
Yeah.
is why I'm telling families now, because I get it. I promise you, I get it. So take your emotions out and just stick to the facts. Stick to the facts. The fact is that my child was supposed to receive speech language services 2 times a week for 30 minutes. They received none, right? Or if
Mm.
there was a vacancy at the school and they notified you that there was a vacancy, you want to make sure you document that.
Yep.
And so when you are at this meeting and if you are feeling you are being ignored or intimidated, I remind parents that, again, you are an equal IEP team member. You can say, I like to pause because I don't feel I'm being heard. I like to pause because what I'm saying is being misinterpreted.
Yeah.
You get to stand 10 toes in that meeting and let them know that I am feeling ignored or I'm feeling intimidated. And I also want to pause there because I do recognize that that might be a lot for someone to say, to speak up for themselves. Some people aren't comfortable speaking up for themselves, but if you're speaking up for your child, it changes things, right? So remember, you are the only one that will advocate for your child the way your child needs to be advocated for. So speak up and then remind them that I would like us to work together. That's what's important to me. Remember, we are here for my child Jane Doe, right? So you can continue to reinforce that you're trying to work collaboratively.
Yeah.
And now my takeaway for this as well is to record your IEP meetings, right?
Mm,
So if you're recording your IEP meetings and you can go back and listen to yourself, you can say, okay, was I emotional? Was I firm? What questions did they answer the questions that I asked, or did they just move over to them? So I think for parents that are feeling ignored or intimidated during the IEP meetings, figure out how you get to take back your control of that. Is it that you are now recording your meetings? Is it that you are going to record your meetings, and if you feel ignored or intimidated, you're going to speak up and say, I like us to pause for a minute. I'm not being heard.
that is so good. Yes. I love that. And actually, I'm taking that with me. The whole recording. I didn't even think about that. So we could just record the meeting, voice record, you guys. You don't have to be there, doing a whole vlog.
Yes, yes,
That's
yes.
not what we're saying, but just like voice recording, that is so good because it's true. You can go back and you can also remember because if you're anything like me, I'm very visual. Um, I need to hear, and a lot of the times I don't remember what was spoken on the last meeting. A year later, we come back and I'm like, oh, did I say yes to that?
Right.
And then you're making them look silly, or you're looking silly. So you want to make sure that you are recording yourself. That's such a good tip. Thank you for that. I didn't even think about that because sometimes you're like, oh, I don't know what they're gonna say if I'm recording. But no, you have the right. Yep.
Yes,
Hey, that's cool. Wait, what
yes.
is that?
It's a digital recorder. And so again, check your state law, because some states require, two-way permission, and some states just require one-party consent. So if you're in a one-party consent, you are more than welcome to get your digital recorder. I have I have a blog actually on my website where I have a list of my Amazon store for all things that I tell parents
Okay.
to have. So I will
Yeah,
definitely
share
share that
this
with
link.
you.
Yeah,
Yes,
share those
absolutely.
links with me and I'll put it in the
Yes.
description of this episode so you guys can go ahead and check it out. It's right there in the description.
Yes, yes.
Wow, that's such a good one. I know if it helped me, it's gonna help other parents. So okay, so next question is what are some practical steps for parents to, you know, that they can take home um or start at home to prepare um for an IEP meeting, such as organizing documents, right? That's a big one. You don't want to just show up with
Yes.
nothing. You want to make sure you have at least the previous IEP so you can go back. And a lot of the times the school, if your child is in school age, they'll give it to you. Maybe like a week or two before the actual meeting takes place so you can
Yes.
look through it. Um tracking progress or communicating with teachers, what are some of those practical steps you would say?
Yeah. What I tell my parents is a couple of things. And I'm going to say this because I also know that there are a lot of families that aren't so tech savvy, but what I do with my clients is we create Google Drives, right? So Google folders, and in each folder, um, I have a folder for each school year. So for current school year, there'll be a folder that says 25, 26, and then there's a folder for IEPs, there's a folder for evaluations. And so what we'll do is we'll dump all of the information into those folders. So we have a digital blueprint file, right, of what has occurred with the child, the IEP process, any school communications, right? Um, and so that is a practical step, is that to organize your documents is to digitize them. If you are more comfortable with having paper, by all means, stick to your paper. Do what makes you comfortable. But if you want to stick with a paper, a binder, I recommend that you do it like how we did in high school, where you had those dividers in there.
Yeah.
So divide it by IEPs, do it by evaluations, and if you do evaluations, you can do it by neuro, OT, psych, or you can just put them all in there together. It's your system, but just you have to remember whatever system you do, right? But do what's going to be the most easiest for you. I also tell parents to do a data log sheet, and that is something that you can do at home, and that helps you keep track of meltdowns, any struggles with homework, reading, if there was no homework, and wins, right? We always want to count our wins. I don't care how big, how small, we count our wins. If your child was able to solve a math problem, we celebrate it. If your child did the math problem and got it wrong, we celebrate it, right? Because they
Yes.
showed effort, they tried, right?
Yes.
If they can sit through a homework session for the full 2 minutes without fidgeting or getting up, we celebrate it, right? Because we're trying to help them survive and thrive in this typical world. So any progress that our children are making at home, we want to make sure that we're celebrating it. And then also, I say, document the wins, because when you're starting to look back, it'll make you smile, right? Oh my
Yep.
gosh, my baby did this. So I think it's
Yeah.
just so important to see that.
No, and not only that, sorry to cut you off, but
Yeah,
not
no.
only that, also when you're in the meeting and they try to tell you, oh, this is, your child is still not able to hold the pencil, but you have that win and you remember when your child
Yes,
clearly has potential to have grip on that pencil, girl, it's over. Okay.
yes,
So
yes.
I think it's so important. It's funny because I had a mom call me this week, and she just needed some guidance about, hey, my son is placed on a general ed classroom. He's kindergarten. And I said, well, how do you feel about that? They can't just
Mhm.
make a rash decision that way just because they evaluating him and they think that, that's his best fit. Your voice matters too, And so she was a little confused because she's like, I don't know, this is on you. And I told her, I said, listen, check the IEP. And I want you to, when you go to that meeting, make sure you ask all the questions that you have, first and
Mhm.
foremost. They can't just make decisions and not fill you in why they're making that decision. Like that's not, I don't even think that's legal.
It's
They
not.
have to let you know, hey, this is why we're placing so and so in this general ed kindergarten class because this and X, Y, and Z. Like there has to be an explanation. And I don't think she was explained, which is why she was like confused. Um, so it's crazy, Alicia, because you will think schools at this point, 2025, like,
Yeah,
you know, like
yeah, yeah.
the
I
brain
do.
cells will be like intact, but they're not. And it's like, I don't understand. So this is why people like Alicia do what they do. Her information is going to be below, of course, and you guys can definitely contact her. And if you have any questions, any doubts, the best part is that she is an autism mom herself. So there's that side of her that will understand you on a different level. So that's such a good idea. And also, I took note about creating folders because right now I'm trying to find my daughter's IEP and, well, her
Hmm.
evaluation when she was first diagnosed. And I'm like, why don't I have this on my emails? So now I got to figure out how I could get a hold of it.
Yes.
Nobody's fault but mine's because ADHD will have me do all the things at once. And then I'm over here scrambling my thoughts. Like, where did I put this?
And that's another thing too. I had started doing these 4-week cohorts for families to kind of walk them through it. So maybe parent coaching. I'm not sure what to call it yet, right?
Yes.
I'm just,
Yes.
I just really want to educate, because also part of our story is that I have spent over $20,000 advocating for my son since he's been
Wow.
in middle school. My son has
Wow.
had significant regression. I filed
Mm.
over 20 state complaints. I even filed a state complaint against the state, okay? And I have
Wow.
findings. I have received a finding for a denial of fate. My son was denied a free, appropriate public
What?
education. And this is why documenting
Mm.
is so important. this is why I started. Originally, when I started the IEP files, it was just to blast my school district and
Yeah.
to like get some accountability, because I was begging and I was doing like all the nice things I said to do, right? Say thank you,
Yeah.
tell them that you want to work with them. I did all of that and no
Yeah.
one was hearing me. No one was showing up for me. And
Mm,
so I said, okay, well, I'm going to publicly embarrass you then, right? But
mm,
even that wasn't working. So I just started filing state complaints, and I'm just like, I
yep.
know this is wrong. And because I know this is wrong, I want accountability, and not just for my son, but for
Yeah.
other children, because there are other
Absolutely.
children like my son who are being denied a free appropriate public education, all because they won't follow accommodations, all because they don't want to teach the way my son needs to be able to learn. And that's part of the idea of IDEA, is that my son have
Yes.
an individualized program. And so that's part of, again, what I want to help demystify, because people, even I've had people in my family say, well, just sue them. And I'm like, it's not that simple. In my state,
Mm,
the burden of proof is on me, the parent, and a due
mm.
process hearing for an attorney is $15,000. I just told you how much money I've already spent paying another advocate.
Really?
Again,
Wait,
yes,
where are
with,
you?
I'm in Maryland. I'm in Maryland.
Okay.
And
Wow.
there's only a handful of states that have literally the burden of proof on the school district. Like New York is one of those states that passed legislation where the
Okay.
burden of proof is on the school district. Maryland is has refused to put the bill forward for a vote. It was passed
Mm,
in the House. It would not go through the Senate for a vote. The chair would not put it
okay.
to a vote. Yeah. I'm really
Yeah,
like, I am
because
so
so
tapped
you're
in.
saying you will have to pay for an attorney.
Yes, yes, and I actually have an attorney now.
Wow.
So listen, I'm
Because
trying.
when I
It's
got an attorney for my daughter for the
mhm,
school district before I took her out and put her in charter school, um, I thankfully didn't have to pay because this attorney's focus is special education, school based specifically. So if I wanted to go a different route, I probably would have had to pay. But because this was his focus is mainly like schools,
mhm.
then I didn't have to. But then I'm in PA, so I know PA is usually it's one of the top states with like helps when it comes to special education. So, oh man, I'm sorry. That is insane. It's
Yeah, I know you
expensive.
guys have the Pearl Center, and we have a similar
Yeah.
center in the state, but
Okay.
part part of what I am noticing is that the services that they're providing is not getting to the root of what parents are facing, right? There's a disconnect about what's really happening in the schools and how
Yeah.
they really can provide support to families. And so
Mm.
it's like, well, I have to fill the gap because I'm living
Yeah.
it, and I called these places for help. And then they had, in order to get legal help, you have to be right under a certain threshold of income. And if I didn't qualify for that,
Oh,
so I couldn't get support. And then Kennedy Krieger
wow.
here, they have a program, but again, you have to be a client of Kennedy Krieger in order to receive their support. So when you have the issues that I was experiencing, don't qualify for legal aid or support, you can't get any additional support. They expect, I'm paying for ABA, I'm paying for speech services. I was already, guys, I had already reached
What?
my out of pocket health insurance max in April of this year. Okay.
Oh my
Okay. So
gosh.
it's, when I tell you I
What?
get it, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, she gets it, y'all.
Hmm.
Um, that is crazy. I'll
Yes.
be praying that, something comes out and something makes a way for you
Thank you.
guys down there because that's tough. Like I know we get the bill. It's considered not a bill, but like insurance still sends it to us so we can see like how much we would have been paying for services if
Oh,
we didn't
nice.
have like our coverage and medical assistance for the kids. Girl, insane.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
expensive. So, okay, to end our episode, I would love for you, to share an encouragement, of course, for families because IEP journeys, of course, we said this in the beginning, can definitely be overwhelming. Can and will be overwhelming. Okay, let's just
Yes.
let's fix that, because we don't want to give you so much hope and say, oh, it can be. No, it will be overwhelming,
Yes.
but you have to know how to navigate it. There is a way to navigate things without having to get all crazy and hostile, right? There is a way to prove your point without having to use hostility or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So, what encouragement would you give to families that are listening, um, who feel tired or discouraged in the process of fighting for their child's needs and services?
I've been there. I am there. I'm living it right now. I was burnt out. So I've been burnt out. I know what that looks like. Been depressed,
Mm.
tired, wondering if the fight was even worth it. If what I'm doing is, am I doing the right? I have questioned, am I even doing the right thing advocating for my child? But I will tell you this, that your child is worth every meeting, every email, every late night.
Wow. Thank you so much, Alicia. First of all, I love everything you're doing. I can tell you have such a genuine heart for what you do. And, when you're called and you're called. Point blank, period. And as a believer, as a Christian woman, you know, I know what it is to have to walk, the talk the walk, like all the things. I know what it is to really put your trust in God and just still walk, right? Because I think sometimes we think, oh, yeah, trust God, I have faith. And we're like, okay, whatever. Like, God is just going to bring it right at the table. No, that's not how it works. He calls us to fight righteously and just for our children and speak up for them. So, all of us that are listening, all of you that are listening, you have a calling. You have a calling, and that calling is, and that purpose, to speak up for your child, to speak up for their needs, to do what you need to do for them. Um, I don't think there's a right or wrong way, because it looks so different for all of us. You may be fighting for services. I may be fighting for more hours or more time, right? But at the end of the day, there's still a fight going on. So I just want to thank you again, Alicia, for taking your time, for reaching out to be part of this podcast. It really means a lot to me. And shout out to Instagram for right? Thank God for the algorithm. Sometimes it be acting up, but sometimes it be coming through. So I'm just thankful that I was able to meet you even virtually. God is good. So I'm always thankful for good connections. So guys, please, her information is down below in the description. Make sure you follow her social media platform. Make sure you reach out to her if you have any questions, any concerns. If you feel like anything that she said during this episode really resonated with you and spoke to you, reach out to her, speak to her. If you're in Maryland, and maybe you're not too familiar with services down there, reach out to her. Okay? So thank you again, Alicia. You're awesome.